Buongiorno. So today I want to show you guys a quick troubleshooting video dealing with XML files. So if you look here on the screen, I have this software called Voicemeeter Banana, which is a audio signal processing application. I'm not sure what it would be called exactly, but it can route all your audio sources and outputs and inputs, and also there's an EQ feature. So the problem that I've been having with the EQ feature is that you have an A and a B setting, and the B setting always seems to go away. So the question is, why is the B setting going away? So one of the first things I want to do is I wanted to actually see that the B setting is actually being saved in the file. So if you look here, you see it says A and B, and when you click on it you get different settings, and you can see there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Each one of these is a frequency that you can adjust. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of those, and then each one has 3 settings each. Basically, you have a frequency of hertz, you have a dB for how much gain, and then you have the Q, which is basically giving you the width or bandwidth, so how wide. So this frequency is a center frequency. If you make it really narrow, it's only going to affect just that frequency, but you can also make it wide where it'll kind of slope out. Like you see here, these are pretty sharp, so they mainly focus on a particular frequency, but I can make them wider to where they would affect more frequencies, but gradually the gain would be lowered as you get away from the key frequency. But that's neither here nor there. The main thing is we want to see where B is saved, and we know that the XML file is going to be a translation of what you see here in the GUI. So basically, I looked at the XML file. When you save the settings, you save file settings, I saw it's an XML file, I saw where it is, so let me take a look at it. So here I am looking at the file. So the first thing I'm thinking of is, well, kind of silly. I thought of looking for B, and I thought and do it case sensitive. So by doing that, I would only catch the uppercase B's and not lowercase, so that kind of helps, but there's a ton of uppercase B's, so that was kind of silly. So then I thought about searching for EQ. So if we do a search for EQ, we can see there's something called Voicemeeter bus EQ. We can see, and then we see that we're getting a bunch of other EQs, right? So we don't want that, so we gotta eliminate that noise. So this is the beginning of a block. It ends with a greater than sign. So these are techniques you're gonna use when you're doing analysis of XML files for something that you don't have necessarily training on. I don't know anything about this. This is not my application. I haven't read a manual. I'm just thinking logically based on what I see in the GUI and what I'm looking for. So adding that greater than sign is going to get me hopefully just those blocks. I don't see any reason why there would be another EQ greater than, unless it's another block that ends in EQ greater than. But as you can see, I'm only getting 2 hits. You can tell by the line numbers. So line 40 and line 40 and line 281. Line 281, you can see, ends the block. We know that because of the slash there. So that's the end of the block. Let me see. And this is the beginning of the block, as you don't see a slash there. So the question is, where would B exist in this? Because there's only a single block that refers to the EQ. But before we get too complicated, let's first make an analysis of this block and confirm that this is in fact what we're looking for. So we can do that by taking a look at this data and just doing a logical analysis. So I see here the format begins with bus index equals 1, and if I scroll down quickly I can see index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, and then it stops. So this only has 5 levels. I believe we saw 6 in the EQ. Let me confirm. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. and all of them have been adjusted just in case it only records when you actually adjust them. So not really sure why this only shows 5 instead of 6. So maybe that index is not what I think it is. So let me look for something else that has 6 perhaps. So there's channel 1, channel 3, 6, 7, 8. That's interesting. So something that has 8 channels. 8 channels. So let me see if I can get 8. Aha! See these numbers on top? Channel select. Question is, what does that refer to? Channel select. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Clicking this doesn't seem to do anything. So let's do a quick search and see if we can find out what channel select is. Okay, so let's see what this is here. I'm not sure if this can help us. Let's try something else. Okay, so here's a manual for it. Let's see if it has what we're looking for. All right, so here we got something. It provides 6 EQ cells for the 8 possible channels of the bus. The channel selector allows working on all channels in the same time or on a given channel only. What does that mean? This might explain what I was seeing. It looks like A and B is just to compare settings. So perhaps A is the only one that's saved and B is just something to be used temporarily. Then they're referencing copying EQ from one channel to the next. What does that even mean? Let's see if we can find some more references to 8 channels. So this is the first hit of 24. Audio Banana integrates an audio recorder able to generate BM, BWF, wave, blah blah blah, whatever in stereo, and 4, 6, or 8 channels for wave. Voicemeeter Banana offers a 6-cell full parametric EQ on every bus. So I presume they're referring to these. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are all buses. And then there's each channel again. Possibility to make independent. So there's 6 cells. Possibility to make independent equalization on each channel, 1 to 8. This is made to correct your PA system from mono to 7.1 setup in conjunction with stereo repeat mode. It's also possible to use this equalizer as a stereo crossover to divide. Okay, so I did some research online about 8 channel audio. Got this. So it looks like each channel would be a division of the sound, for example, into, if I had a stereo system, I would just use 2 channels, 1 channel for each speaker. Okay, so they're referring to like the speakers. See all these channels? Front left, front right. I guess this is sub left, sub right. Man, this software is really powerful. Macro buttons, wow. All right, so I'm getting distracted. Let's get back to troubleshooting. So now we can look at this in context. So these are the 8 channels that the software and my computer supports, and the EQ settings I'm using have it set to all, so it should be the same settings over and over again for each channel. For each channel there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which makes sense. There's 6 EQ settings. So for each channel they're getting these 6 EQ settings. So that's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. But notice it comes back to channel 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is that the B? Yeah, there's the index 2. Then there's more indexes. There's a 3 and a 4 and a 5. There's 5 indexes. What are these 5 indexes? 6 frequencies, or 6 bands rather, with 3 settings per band. I just noticed that these have no dB level. These are all index 3 and 2. 2 and 3 have no dB level. EQ is on. This is all untouched. See, these are all standard settings. The Q is 3 for all of them. That means they're untouched. These are standard frequencies. The default frequencies are all default values. Whatever this represents is untouched. There's no settings. 6 cells per channel. So how many indexes are actually here? So there's 1 with actual settings. We can see the frequencies are unique. These are my settings. Channel 1 and channel 4. So this is off as well. This is a little confusing. But I guess one thing we can establish as a given is that the frequency or the channel that has my settings is, I'm going to assume it's only one index, not channel, but index. So here's my custom settings starting from index 4. I'm going to assume that's the only one that has settings. So index 4, does any other index have settings? All of this is settings. Now 3 is default. 2 is default. This has custom dB levels, but the Qs are all defaults. Maybe that's because you have these. You would need settings for everywhere that there's an EQ. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 EQs here, and then there's 2 over here. But this is different. It's treble, bass. Let's look for these terms in the file. So there's no reference to treble or bass or virtual. So virtual is not in there either. Let's take a look at what else is in this file. Let's go block by block. I guess we can shrink down these other areas. So there's Voicemeeter device configuration. Has my microphone, my speakers, Voicemeeter parameters, Voicemeter recorder, Voicemeter MIDI map, V-band, and that's it. So the EQ is a subsection of one of these sections. Okay, so the EQ is in Voicemeeter parameters. In parameters we have label strip, label virtual strip 1, virtual strip 2, strip, Voicemeeter bus EQ, and then that's it. Voicemeter recorder, MIDI map, we don't need to look at that, and V-band, we don't need to look at that either, we know nothing's in there. What is this 3D panel? Let me look at what these settings. So this has bass, treble, and this which has no name. I assume that's mid. Treble, bass, no name. I guess what we could do is we could change these values and see, confirm. So let's make this 7.2. Open it up, search for 7.2. It actually says EQ gain. I didn't see that. That EQ is here. So that means everything we're looking at is here. So there is a total of 5 channels that have EQs. Wait a minute. Most of them should be set to defaults because I'm only using one. I think I actually adjusted this one. Yep. I just don't use it. So this should be all defaults, right? That should be all defaults, and it is. This should be all defaults, and it is. So there's only 2 EQs in use. So that's what we would see in this file. So if we look through, we see index 1 is customized, 2 is not, 3 is not, 4 is customized, so there's your 2 EQs, and the rest of these are all defaults. So that's what it is. So this is for these 2 channels here. So B1 and A1. I'm only concerned about this guy. So this EQ doesn't have much adjustments at all. The bandwidth is all the same, they're all 3s. So we can easily figure out which one that is in the file. So it's the one with custom dB, but all 3s for bandwidth. So that means this is that one. That's the one that's not in use. So the one in question is this. So it's index 4. So this is index 4, which has 8 channels, and that's it. So we can confirm logically that, let's confirm we have both A and B in this file that we just opened, which is a different file from before. Yeah, A and B both have settings. We can confirm that the XML file only stores one of the 2 values A and B are not saved. I'm going to presume that only A is saved. That's why B keeps disappearing. There's no place for it. There's only one set of adjustments for a total of 8 channels. We should see twice this if we had an A and a B. So these are the 5 bands. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6 bands rather. So there should be 12 bands between A and B, but there's only 6. See, this is channel 8, and channel 8 does not repeat in index 4. So that's it. So it took us a little while, but mission accomplished. We solved the mystery of why channel B EQ settings kept disappearing. So if we go back to that right now, basically only one of these is saved. And I'm going to assume that it's always going to be A. B is just a temporary slot for testing purposes when you make adjustments to your EQ. So that means if I want this to be saved, I need to correct this, take the EQ settings that we want, copy all, put them in A because this is the only thing that's going to be saved. Paste it, so now this is here, so this is good. And now let's save this. Probably the reason why I never noticed that this was happening is because you wouldn't lose the B setting until you load the settings again. So if I load up one of my ones that I saved before, I'm probably going to see that B is empty again. Here's what I saved earlier. Oh, maybe B is retained per session. So until I shut down the app, it's not going to go away. I think that's the same B that we're just using before. That's good to know because that's good. B, so we want to retain this, not this. So if I close out of this, when I come back in, B is going to be gone. Let's close the application and see what happens. So closing it now. So we just restarted it. Now let's take a look at B, and I bet you B is going to be flat. So there's A and B is gone. That's it. All right, so basically what we figured out is that this application only uses B temporarily. And the way that it's coded is that whenever you set B, it saves it in memory and it'll keep it there as long as the application is running. So you can load different settings that you have and you can go back and forth. But no matter what you do, B will always have whatever the last value that you put in there because it stays in memory and it leaves it there. It only gets out of memory when you close the application. So when you open it back up, it loads the single EQ setting, which is for A. We confirm that. There's only 5 different bands of settings for that channel 4, I think it was, and that's it. So it loads that up and then B is empty. So automatically when the application loads, it does not load anything for B. So it's always going to be default flat. So that was the confusion. So for a while, I kept losing the B settings. I thought it was how I was saving it and maybe it was a bug in the application. But now I know that you simply can only save one EQ setting per file. Well, there you go. So there's, this is a EQ application, but any application that uses XML, you could use similar strategies to do troubleshooting and to figure out, things like what we had today. I answered my question. So if this was helpful for you, definitely go click on the like button and subscribe, and welcome aboard Fixed Protocol channel. Bonjour. See you guys soon.
Click subscribe, then click the bell. Click the bell because you don't want to miss out on more awesome content that I'll be posting soon right here on this channel. Welcome aboard. Buongiorno. Salut. Vigets. Bienvenidos. Hasta luego, todos. I'm so excited that you've decided to join the team so we can learn together, grow together, and achieve our dreams. Let's do it. See you soon. Grazie. Learning, learning, learning. We gonna do some learning. Gonna learn.
subscribe, I'm telling you.
With options, your entire strategy is based on what you... I'm going to give you the fixed protocol. Options Greeks.
Shout out to my top subscribers, Nick, Mega Noob, MJ Shahid, Igor, and CKKO. I wish everyone all the success. Make it happen. Stay on your grind. See you soon.